Okay, I may have to split this one up into two parts because it's a whole lot to cover, but believe it or not, uh, since I had an accusation kind of hurled at me not too long ago that I don't know how to read the big book, I thought I should definitely get more into attacking literature, and I also think that it would be important to kind of delve back into AA history itself, since it seems to be the main focal point of a lot of the people that have an issue with the fact this channel exists. I have this idea that there was, and I've already had to repeat this in the last 2-3 videos, that there was this magical time where AA worked and AA was perfect. And the big book is, I guess, divinely beamed down from the heavens by some higher power that only worries about drunk people. It doesn't care about any other major events that are happening in the world as far as people literally being stricken with illnesses or earthquakes or war or famine or anything else that's currently going on. It doesn't even give a shit about the fact that a lot of Americans right now are living paycheck to paycheck, and if they had an unexpected expense pop up, it could wipe them out financially. It doesn't care about all those things. It's only worried about whether or not you as an alcoholic drinks. And that's why it beamed this big book down out of the sky, and it was perfect in the year 1935. By the way, I would have to open up a few more tabs to do it. I'll read it the very next time I get a chance. I know I mentioned it on here before. But at the time, there is this persistent myth that at the time Alcoholics Anonymous came into being, the entire medical community just breathed a sigh of relief and said, you know what? We got something that will help the alcoholics now, because all we could do with them is give them lobotomies and lock them up in mental institutions. It's actually not 100% true. The American Medical Association had a really ugly, scathing review of the book at the time it came out. Not to mention the fact that temperance movements and many other types of things have kind of a long history. There was a book, it's kind of a fascinating read, although it's very dark in nature. It's really disturbing in a lot of parts, but it was called The Devil in the White City. It's about a serial killer that was in Chicago, Illinois in the late 19th century, around the time of the Chicago World Trade Center, I almost said, but it was the World Fair that happened. It happened, various large cities around the world and around the country and everything, but it was going on in Chicago, Illinois at the time. And this really, really twisted individual named Mudgett had built this grand hotel place that he used to literally just kill people. I mean, one of his major schemes was to get people to sign life insurance policies over to him, and he would dispose of them. But he had all kinds of weird booby traps in this place, and he had all kinds of weird closets and things like that, where he would literally lock people in closets and feed them poison gases. Really, really disturbing material, especially when the idea that somebody like that existed. The only reason I'm bringing it up at the beginning of this video is there was a couple of henchmen he had working with him. It seems like these kinds of weird, evil people always have helpers that were involved in that, but it mentioned a couple of them was going to some treatment center, not treatment center like what we would think of it as today, of course, in the 19th century. I mean, in the 21st century, but in the 19th century, there were certain types of prescribed drug treatment, hospitalization things for people who suffered with severe problems with drinking. Granted, it was primarily in those days also treated kind of as a moral type of issue. But there was an emerging field even back then that was looking at the field of medicine in this light of mental health in a way that maybe you're not responsible for your behavior. Maybe you suffer from these deliriums in the brain or whatever. Of course, I could get into a long lecture about the 19th century and 19th century medicine and everything else, because I'm one of these weird, nerdy people that likes to read about a lot of other things. I'm good at a game of Trivial Pursuit if you ever have me over, but I'm pretty boring in a lot of other aspects. But anyway, the American Medical Association did not breathe a sigh of relief when the AA cult was created. Doctors were not happy, even in spite of the fact that Bill W. did a massive PR campaign where he was just saying, all the hospitals were just overjoyed at his wisdom when this came out. They finally had an answer for everything. I've got plenty of evidence to dispute that. But for purposes of this video, since I don't know how to read AA literature, I was actually going to talk about one thing that we've all heard in hundreds and hundreds upon thousands of meetings. There's no telling how many times I had to actually hear this over the years. I don't even really want to know how many times I heard this over the years. And there were certain people that would make a big show about how they knew the whole thing by heart. There was one old timer, whenever he would read this, and this is the topic of this video, which may come in more than one part, he would literally hold the paper up in front of everybody, and he would make this grand show of putting it down in front of him, and then he would sit like this and he would recite it. But he had no ego. He was practicing humility. He just wanted everybody to know that even though he didn't really ever seem to have a job, to my knowledge, and he was always bumming money and cigarettes off of everybody, and yeah, he didn't mind taking $1 or $2 out of the basket from time to time, but he knew how to read the shit that I'm going to delve into for this video by heart. And you know, I would see so many AA people that were like, I wish I had that kind of sobriety. Yeah, nothing says sobriety like being a guy who seems to be a professional AA meeting goer. That seemed to be his career, and who never seems to have anything outside of taking from everybody. Although he always had nice clothes and he had a nice car and everything, so I don't know where he got that from. I guess the spirit of the universe and the AA higher power just gave it to him because he went to so many AA meetings and did the steps. Well, we'll dive right into it. And if you feel cringe at what I'm about to read, don't worry. I feel the same thing just looking at it. It's almost like flashbacks just seeing this. But how it works, the thing that I don't know how to read apparently, because if I don't know how to read AA literature, this is supposed to explain to me how the whole fucking program works, right? How it works, you know. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Gotta stop right there. Whenever you hear this in a meeting, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Because AA has been around almost 100 years now, and at the time that I was, you know, in it, it was in the 70-something year, bordering on 80 years. You think this statement, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path, must be steeped in this long, rich, traditional history of how well this thing has worked. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. You're thinking, well, you know, the decades behind me and all the time period before me and all of that, this must be tried and true, right? Wrong. I can prove it on the Orange Paper's website. I may pull it up from another video because he's got a whole entire section about how AA came to be. And since that site kind of goes online and offline and all that other stuff, I might just cover that particular section on this channel one day in full detail in case the site goes offline and it doesn't come back up. It's been online for quite some time, so we'll keep our fingers crossed because it is a valuable resource of information. The website, not the stupid fucking Facebook group, which is filled full of pro-AA trolls and a lot of other problems. I did a video about them, but let's not get sidetracked. I'm one of these people, if you get me started talking about 19th century medicine at the beginning of the hour and we're just standing on the street corner having a conversation, we'll be talking about 1990s Donnie Brasco is why that's my favorite movie in like 15-20 minutes. I just go from so anyway, but rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. At the time that was written, they didn't have 100 members. There used to be a guy who had a website, and it's archived now, and it's linked in the Orange Papers. His name was Dick B, and yeah, I guess he was a dick, because he was an AA guru type guy. They didn't have 100 people at the time this was written. They had 40 people. That's right, the first 40 people. And those 40 people did not have decades and decades and decades behind them to even qualify to write this sentence. They were literally writing this sentence when this thing was fresh off the vine, as an offshoot of the Oxford group. And the Oxford group, as I have stated on here before, that somebody responded to a message, was a proto-fascist type cult that said that Adolf Hitler was a gift from God. They said they dreamed and envisioned of a world that was going to be run by men under God control. Can only imagine a worldwide dictatorship of people like Bill W. and Adolf Hitler running it. You wouldn't even be able to escape to another country. You would never be able to turn to any other source of information or any place. No place on earth would be left with any freedom in it, because this group of men practicing humility under God control, like Hitler, who was practicing humility under God control, I guess, according to the Oxford group, they'd be running it. But at the time this was started, they had 40 people, and out of those 40 some odd people, a lot of them later on died drunk or went back to drinking or just left altogether. So rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking he's never going to get to the rest of the fucking thing. But anyway, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path is a lie. Okay, it's a complete fabrication. But you, a newcomer, walking into an AA meeting for the very first time, you would hear that sentence and think, okay, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Okay, there's hope for me now. There's hope for me. This works, right? Because it's rare that someone fails that doesn't thoroughly follow the path. But you already got doubt, because like everybody else who's struggled with alcohol addiction, and I was a terrible drunk towards the latter part of my drinking career, I guess you could call it. I mean, I was really of the hopeless variety, as they talk about. I mean, literally waking up at 2 a.m. and having to drink vodka just to get back to sleep. The tremors, the shakes, the whole entire 9 yards, you know. But anyway, now here's where they set you up with a little mind fuck. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Now already you're sitting in a meeting for your very first time hearing this, and you're hearing there are people who can't recover. Now you've first been told rarely have we seen a person fail, but now you're hearing about there are people who do fail. And you're thinking to yourself, oh shit, I hope I'm not one of those people. But it's people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Well, let me do some more history here. At the time this was written, there was no court-ordered AA. There was no AA institutions. There was no 12-step treatment centers. There were no TV commercials. Well, I'm saying if you or a loved one is suffering with substance abuse, then we are here to help, you know, and all that other kind of shit. There wasn't even TV shows or radio ads or anything like that at the time, unless Bill W. bought a few of them. This is 1935. So the only person who would walk into a meeting in 1935, which at the time they were even hesitant to have women as members and things like that. The only person who would walk into a meeting at this time period, well, it was more like 1939 actually, or 1938, give or take. The only person who's walking into a meeting at this time period in history is someone who's got a severe problem with drinking that wants to quit drinking. And they're being told that, well, if you fail, it's because you cannot or will not give yourself to this simple program. Now, I'm pretty sure when you're coming off a drunken binge and your anxiety is through the roof and all of that other kind of thing, you're sitting there probably thinking to yourself, what do you mean cannot or will not? You know, I came to this meeting because I got a serious problem, but I just will not do it. You know, it's more idiocy, but it's also a subtle mind fuck. It's telling you there are a few exceptions that fail, but if they do, it's just people who, they can't do it. I don't know what's wrong with them, right? Usually, men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. That is blabber. That's absolute total blabber. If you walked into an AA meeting or you were exposed to a 12-step or whatever it is, you were pretty honest with yourself and saying, I got a severe fucking drinking problem. But this is another way they can opt out. See, if you don't make it, they're already telling you why you can't make it. You're just not able to be honest with yourself, you know. Constitutionally incapable, you know, you may be real fucked in the head. You may be being dishonest about yourself and you don't even know it, you know. Ever see the old movie Gaslighting? There was two versions of that, actually, the old 1940s movies. But, yeah, they're doing it to you right here. There are such unfortunates. Let's make it sound really ominous. There are such unfortunates, you know. Yeah, there's some unfortunates, you know. I know you want to quit drinking. You know, I know you want to quit drinking, pal. And I'm just telling you, it almost never happens that people who follow this program of ours, they almost always quit drinking, right? Now, there's a small chance that you might not be able to quit drinking, and you might be one of those unfortunates, you know. We got a few unfortunate cases like that, but we don't really like to talk about it, you know. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. Wow, where'd you get your fucking medical degree from? You know, not this guy's fault that he won't quit drinking, even though I'm peddling cult religious horse shit to him, but I guess he was just born that way, you know. He won't fall for the fucking brainwashing, you know. He was just born like that. Fucker actually thinks for himself and has critical thinking skills or something. I don't know what the fuck. He's just fucked up, you know. He's fucked up, you know. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Coming from a room full of liars and 13-steppers, that's a fucking joke. But, again, naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living. Okay, it's telling you right here that none of this shit has to do anything with quitting drinking. It's about grasping and developing a manner of living, which demands rigorous honesty. Now, I got to go back and fall back on actor Marlon Brando one time when when reporters, he didn't like being praised, but when a reporter would praise him for acting, he would always use the same examples. He would say, everybody acts. Okay, when you have a family member that's bought a brand new dress and you think it makes her look more older and more overweight, she says to you, what do I look like in this? He was using an example like your aunt or whoever. You say, oh, you look great with it. If you have a boss at the job or a manager that you fucking hate, that you think is the stupidest piece of shit to ever walk the earth, and he says to you, I've got a different idea for the department. Going forward, we're going to implement this policy, and it's the stupidest fucking policy you've ever heard. What do you normally say? You say, gee, good Leonard, that was great. I'm just so glad you came up with that policy. I think it's going to be great for the fourth quarter sales. Everybody acts. So rigorous honesty, how? Now they're going to say to thine own self be true, how are you going to be true to your own self, if you're naturally incapable of being rigorously honest? How rigorously honest do you have to be if you got a fucking drinking problem? Look, my life's a wreck. I love to drink. The drinking is making my life even more miserable than it already is. I really just want to quit drinking. I mean, how rigorously honest do you have to fucking be? Their chances are less than average. What did you measure that by? How did you measure that their chances are less than average? Because you only had about 40 fucking people when you were putting this shit together. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the people who put this thing together, Bill W. and all the others, were sitting around probably having a shot while they were writing this, while he was typing this. You know what? What do you think of this line? Everybody, what do you think of this line? Their chances are less than average. Yeah. Put it in there. That'll scare them a lot more, you know. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. What do you call a grave emotional and mental disorder? And how do you know if they can recover or not if they have a capacity to be honest? Do you think somebody in the mental hospital that believes that that aliens from outer space are broadcasting hidden messages to them through old records by the Eagles, the Hotel California record is filled with all kinds of messages from the aliens who are currently working in government, and that's being broadcast to you across your record. How do you diagnose that these people can recover if they have the capacity to be honest? I mean, do you think someone who's delusional, out of touch with reality, someone who's suffering from all kinds of other problems, is suddenly going to have that all go away because they're honest? Do you know people who suffer with anxiety problems, with OCD, with all those other things? My own struggles with OCD, I knew what I was doing was crazy. I knew it was crazy to feel this desire to shower 3 times a day, even on days when I wasn't working at 30, or wash my hands 1,000,000 times over. I knew that it was crazy behavior, and you know what? Just being honest about it, you know what? I'm fucking crazy. It didn't make it go away. So do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. It's just more blabber that you throw in there. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we're like now. That really doesn't help anybody. You know, I mean, if anybody's ever sat in an AA meeting, the story's generally about what a major fucking badass you were back in the day, what a major legend you were back in the day, and how you're just wonderful now. You know, oh, I was a multi-convicted felon. I had 19 robbery convictions. I had 23 attempted murder convictions, and I would assault anybody. I'd be at a traffic stop and somebody would look at me strange, and I would just take a swig out of the bottle and I would just beat them senseless. And I was in 1,000,000 fist fights, and I got a sponsor and he took me through the steps. And yeah, that's the kind of shit you get subjected to in a general way. They're not in a general way, and they're not telling me anything about what they're like now. What you're like now is you're still a stupid fucking asshole who likes to hear himself talk and who thinks he's impressing all these strangers with his horseshit tales. I mean, if you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, well, what the fuck do you have exactly? I mean, years of being in AA meetings, I never saw anybody that had anything that I really wanted. And even if I did want it, willing to go to any length to get it. I mean, first of all, when I got to AA, there's only one thing I wanted to do: quit drinking. I didn't want to be like this guy over here and say, you know what? I just love you. I want what you have, and I'm willing to go to any length to get it. You know, why? I mean, isn't your primary purpose in life to quit, if you have a drinking problem, to quit drinking and move on with your life? Or is it because you're looking at this room full of people all telling you a bunch of bullshit stories, and you're saying to yourself, I want to be like these people. I want to be another guy that sits in meetings for the rest of my life talking about what a badass I used to be. Yeah, I would do anything to do that. This is the point where you'll usually hear somebody share in a meeting, well, if they'd told me to walk naked down Main Street and stand on my head, I would have done it. That's how much I wanted this thing. Well, then you're an idiot. You think if I got to an AA meeting and they said, do you want to quit drinking? And I said, yeah. And they said, are you willing to do whatever it takes to quit drinking? And I said, yeah. And they said, well, then stand on your head and walk on your hands down Main Street. I said, what are you, fucking nuts? I mean, that's what I would say. I didn't give up my brain just because I had a drinking problem. And let's see. At some of these, we balked. Well, I don't know who the we balked is, because there was 40 people originally. There was not a magical 100 number at this time. There was not no 100 people that had magically stayed sober for decades at the time the shit was written. At some of these, we balked. I can only imagine why they balked. They read the rest of the steps and they said, holy shit, I came to this meeting tonight, hoping I was going to be able to quit drinking, and now I'm being sold religious mumbo-jumbo crap. No wonder they're balking, right? We thought we could find an easier, softer way. How do you know what we thought? And as far as an easier, softer way, I don't think there wasn't really too much in the way of an easier, softer way in terms of the phony pseudo-scientific horseshit that was being forced on people with drinking problems. I mean, if you really want to boil it all down to a generalized idea of what was going on at the time, most people were thinking, if I could get my drinking under control, everything would be great. And probably a lot of them were right. That's all you needed to do. Probably a lot of people were thinking to themselves, I just need to quit drinking and my life is going to be perfect. Now you're over here telling me all this bullshit about rigorous honesty and easier, softer ways and these steps and horse shit that has nothing to do with me. That's why they're wanting to find an easier, softer way. They're like, look, I need to quit drinking. But these people are selling me some weird garbage that doesn't even sound appealing. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Fearless and thorough from the very start. And what is it you want me to do exactly? I just got here. I just now sat down. You're saying, rarely have you seen anybody fail. You're telling me that the people who do fail, they're the ones to blame because they're either mentally ill or they just don't know how to be honest. And now you want me to be fearless. Fearless about what? Fearless about putting down a bottle? Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Let go of what? What old ideas? What are you talking about? I came here because I had a drinking problem. I want to quit drinking. You're talking to me about letting go absolutely. Letting go of what? The result was nil over what? I mean, can you give me some examples here? Did somebody come in there and say, I really like jazz music, and I don't want to let go of my jazz records. I don't want to let go of my Tin Pan Alley collection that I got here. And they said, well, the result is not going to be any good. The guy crawled back a week later and said, yeah, you're right. I had to break all my jazz records. I had to let go absolutely because the result was nil. What are you talking about? The result was nil. What are you saying? What old ideas? This doesn't even make any sense. And I used to listen to this shit read at the beginning of every meeting as though it contained some great truth about the world at large. And I used to see people sitting in meetings with their eyes closed, mouthing it, like that. Like there's some great secret here. This is blabber. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Alcohol is not cunning. Alcohol is not baffling. Alcohol is not powerful. Alcohol it's a substance that sits in a glass bottle on a shelf in a liquor store. Okay? It's not cunning, baffling, and powerful. The only power that it has on me is my mental dependence upon it, unless you're so addicted to booze like I have been before in my life, where you're physically dependent on it. Where if you don't have it, you do go into shakes, where you start vomiting, where you start throwing up. You have terrible mental anxiety when you're not drinking, because alcohol fucks with your brain receptors and your dopamine responses and all those kinds of things. But by itself, alcohol is not powerful. It's not cunning. It's not baffling. Okay? In fact, here, again, you're setting people up to deal with an insurmountable task that it doesn't look like they can complete. You're dealing with liquor. You just need to know how to get by without liquor. That's all you're dealing with. If you put it down into simplistic terms and say, look, you're dealing with an addiction problem to alcohol. Now, if we can help you get over the cravings for alcohol to where you start living without alcohol until you feel better without alcohol, you'll be fine, just fine. Think of the difference in that message to someone and they're saying, remember we deal with alcohol, it's cunning, it's baffling, it's powerful. You've created this monstrosity, this entity that's crushing and all pervasive that doesn't have to exist. Without help, it's too much for us. Okay. Right there would be probably the only thing that would be worthwhile in this whole entire painful fucking paragraph. Hey, buddy, you got a drinking problem. I used to have a drinking problem. You know what? We're going to come here and every night we're going to hang out. We're going to talk about a day and we're going to talk about how hard it is sometimes to get through the day without a drink, and we're going to pat each other on the back, and we're all going to go home tonight, and we're all not going to drink. How about that? That would be a perfect fucking program, actually. You know, if you had something like that, but this shit here they're selling. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Well, I thought I could pick any God I wanted to. Well, you're reading this at the beginning of a meeting to me. Now you're telling me I got to find him now. And how exactly am I supposed to find him? In other words, this is not a religion. This is all about spirituality, but there's only one that's got the power to help you. It's God. May you find him now. You know, yeah, you know, you must do this or else, you know. Half measures avail us nothing. Okay, I don't even know what that means. You haven't told me what that means. Are you talking about trying to control your liquor consumption? Are you talking about trying to moderate your alcohol use? What are you talking about? You're claiming that this path that everybody thoroughly follows can't fail, and then you're saying, but if you half measure it, it won't avail you nothing at all. How do you measure a half measure? How do you measure a half measure? I went to 4 meetings this week instead of 5, and I got drunk, so there, and that was a half measure. I did the first 3 steps on the first day, and then the other day after that, I didn't go to a meeting, and I got drunk again. That was a half measure. What do you mean by a half measure? What are you talking about? We stood at the turning point. Yeah, we stood at the turning point of insanity with shit like this. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Okay, at the time that this was written, if you're walking into a meeting, because you got a drinking problem, and you're being told all of this. You're being sold religion. I mean, in the 1930s, the dominant religion in the United States of America was indeed Christianity, and where this was started, given their riff with the Catholic churches and everything with Frank Buckman's major problem with the Catholic Church and everything, it would have been white Protestant Christianity. So literally any drunk walking into a meeting at the time this was written would have said, wait a minute, I came here because I had a drinking problem. Now you're telling me I got to find God. I could go find God at church right down the street. I mean, yeah. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. I'm going to skip those, actually, because I could go over each and every one of those later to get to many of us explain what in order I can't go through with it. Well, of course you said, you didn't really say what in order I can't go through with it. You literally, at this point, if you walked into this thing in the 1930s and hearing this, you're thinking to yourself, what a crock of shit. There's no point in me fooling with this. I came here because I got a drinking problem. You read to me 12 freaking steps that have nothing to do with alcohol because the very first step mentions booze. The rest of the steps just mention finding God and doing confessions and turning your will over and all this other shit. What does this have to do with anything? Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. But you just got through saying the result is nil until we let go absolutely. You just got through saying half measures avail us nothing. You just said that you stood at the turning point, and then you got to ask for protection and care with complete, total abandon. Now you're saying, not really. You know, we don't have to do that. You know, we none of us tried to really do that. You know, we're not saints. The point is, we're willing to grow along spiritual lines. What spiritual lines? What are you talking about? Spiritual lines? Okay, you just got through saying that you got to do all these 12 steps, that you got to completely abandon yourself, that you got to completely let go of all your old ideas because the result is nil. You've just got through saying that I'm at a turning point and I have to completely abandon myself to whatever this fucking process is. You said that half measures availed us nothing. You said that unless you do not give yourself completely over to this simple program, that you probably won't make it because you're not honest. It is the only reason you can't give yourself over to this simple program. That if you're fucking insane, you'll still be able to do this because you just have to be honest. Now you're just saying you don't got to do any of that. You just got to be willing to grow along spiritual lines. I mean, I could just see Bill W. typing his shit in a typewriter somewhere, and he's like, that sounds harsh. I need a selling point here. I need to not run everybody off, because if I type it like this, everybody's going to leave the fucking meeting. I'll just say, well, you don't have to, really. I was just kind of joking with you. As long as you're willing to do it, you'll be fine, The principles we have set down are guides to progress. Progress to what? I came here because I want to quit drinking. What am I progressing towards? We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. I didn't come here for spiritual perfection or spiritual progress. I came here to quit drinking. And you're telling me I got to abandon myself and turn it over so that I can grow along spiritual lines. I thought the point of this whole thing was we're going to stop drinking here, right? It's not? You're selling me a religion? Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after. Personal adventures, yeah. Real personal adventures we hear in those meetings. Obviously made up stories ripped from action movies and drama series that they incorporate into their tales to make them sound even more grandiose than they are, and then they'll tell you they're a miracle of God today. That we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. Okay, I don't know how these three pertinent ideas got put forth in this pile of blabber you just read me. You just read me this thing about how you're not going to fail if you completely give yourself up, if you completely turn yourself over, if you completely abandon everything just for this program because you want to grow along spiritual lines, and somehow or the other out of all of that, I'm supposed to deduce that I can't manage my own life. Makes a lot of sense, right? That probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. Well, I didn't want my alcoholism relieved. I wanted to quit drinking. You've created something that's not even real, and you're selling me the solution to something that's not even real as a cure for drinking. You haven't even talked about quitting drinking in this whole fucking thing, and that God could and would if he was sought. Well, again, you're selling me religion. You're not telling me anything about quitting drinking. You're not even talking about drinking. The whole entire thing here is an attempt to beg you into accepting religion. It's the whole entire thing. I'm not even going to go through the whole entire 12 steps because we've heard them all a million times before. This is read at the beginning of every meeting. You take the context of it all, and it's a selling point for religion. It doesn't say, you know what, we are 100 men and women who have decided that we're going to throw our willpower and our strength into overcoming the drinking problem and help other people overcome the drinking problem. So these meetings are designed for people like you who have a severe drinking problem to get better. That's what we're here for. That's what we're all about. We've all recovered, and now you're going to recover. There's nothing even remotely like that in this pile of shit that I had to listen to being read in meetings over and over and over again. All it's really telling you is that, you know what? You have a drinking problem, you got to find God, and you got to take these steps. It is a religious selling point. I didn't have to break this up into two parts because it was, but at 33 minutes, I don't think I need to keep going with it. I do got to get a subscriber comment in for this week, and by the way, this is an important subscriber comment. Now, the reason why I say important, there's a fact in here, a fact that I think everybody could benefit from. The subscriber said, this is one of my favorite videos of all time. He's talking about last week with the abusive dynamic. I think you grew up in New Jersey. You thought right. If so, you likely know this. But the Archdiocese of Newark has a long history of institutional pedophilia. There's a point here. I think you'll be interested. There are a handful of the Tobin family members affiliated with the church in that area of Newark. I've heard those names in the news. I didn't know them. You know, I told the story on here before about my encounter with a priest. Not sexually. If you've ever seen the video, it was just an episode with a priest that laid a heavy guilt trip on me because of some little minor infraction in the church and everything, and I later on saw his name on a list of pedophile priests. I never encountered a pedophile, but to deny their existence would be ridiculous at this point. The churches are stuffed with them. Anyway, there are a handful of Tobin family members affiliated with the church in that area. One was a cardinal. Another was a guy named Greg Tobin, who held various roles as a journalist for the Catholic Church, including editor of the Catholic Advocate, the bi-weekly newspaper of the Archdiocese of Newark. As a PR man for the den of perversion during that time, one can only imagine what nefarious deeds Greg Tobin executed in the name of the Lord. Why am I mentioning this? This is the important part. Well, the same Greg Tobin was general manager, president of AA from 2015 to 2021. According to the IRS Form 990, he earned $309,000 in 2021 and reported 17.5 hours of work per week. These are all the people that want you to believe that AA is just this humble little organization where every dollar in the basket just pays for a little coffee. Even though this guy's making almost close to $500,000 for 17 hours a week. Not a bad job, huh? Monica Richardson released her film The 13th Step in 2016. That is on YouTube if you want to watch it, 13th Step the film. I think if you haven't seen it, just put it into the YouTube thing, 13th Step the film. It's a pretty good expose of what goes on in that religious cult and the sexual abuse and a lot of other things. Shortly thereafter, AA released a yellow safety card as a token response to maintain plausible deniability for sexual crimes committed on their watch. The AA response seemed exactly like the Catholic way of doing things. Much like the church was moving pedophiles from one parish to another, it just swept the entire affair under the rug. Now it makes sense. Greg Tobin, the Catholic mouthpiece, was also the presiding AA Grandmaster. What you described as institutional within AA, I was talking about the abuse dynamic in that week, a very tangled web of religious guilt. And then the person says, thank you for the video and all of that. So yeah, there's an entire institution of abuse that's been caused by this religious cult. And this cult never worked from the get-go. It was never about saving other alcoholics. It was about converting people to religion. I could do an entire video on that. I'm going to do a video later on about how AA didn't have 100 members at the time it formulated. It was never meant to do any of the things that everybody seems to think it was meant to do. It was started by a bunch of disgusted, deranged individuals that were on power trips, and it was designed for those kinds of individuals. Bill W. himself even said in one of his very last speeches that that the tradition of anonymity was important because it protected AA from those, and he said this, his words, not mine, those who use AA for sick and demented purposes. That's right, sick and demented purposes. He was talking about how the sex predators and the child molesters had to be protected by the tradition of anonymity. And I have talked 40 minutes, and by this point probably nobody's watching the video anyway, or you fast-forwarded it through to get to the end, and I don't blame you for that. I don't blame you for that at all. Chime in on the comments, let me know what you think of how it works, and I'll see you guys next week.